you see? So, amazing. Well, everyone, welcome to the first chapter of our blog that doesn't have a name yet, but will probably be related to the one and only Scroofy, the legend.
Has to be.
The dog, the legend. So, first of all, my name is Chevy, and this is Dan. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm slightly autistic. I just graduated university and I'm currently just traveling around. No real plans.
Yeah, so I myself, I was born and raised in Jerusalem. I've been living in Jerusalem all my life. On and off, I've been traveling backpacking for about 3 years. 3 years in the army, and in the last 9.5 years, I've been a tour guide. So when we talk about travel, we know a thing or two. We know a little bit.
Here and there.
Here and there, yeah.
Mostly stupid opinions, but
Yeah. Stupid, unpopular opinions. And
hey, they count for something.
of course. And for our first episode, we're going to talk about how to start traveling. So step by step, kind of like explaining how it happens. Also probably we'll answer the question why you should actually travel if you want to, and what traveling will do to you, and why it's the best thing you can actually do in this world. So let's say when you plan a trip, what's the first thing that you're doing?
Well, first of all, you have to decide what do you want, because there's so many types of trips, you know. You could decide you just want to go somewhere and party in a city. Okay, cool. But it's going to be a completely different trip for the most part than, you know, you just want to climb mountains or swim in rivers, do some nature stuff. So first, I like the nature stuff, so I'll usually go on Google. I'll search up whatever countries or places I'm interested in. What do they have? And where is it? Like, is it just too hard to access? Is it close to cities?
Yeah.
And then from there, I slowly get an idea of what I'm looking for, what I think would be fun. And from that point on, yeah, it's just getting it done. How about you?
Well, for me, it wasn't so creative. I usually go to South America. So like, this is usually where I'll go, even North America a little bit. But yes, I mean, I look for a place that has, it depends again, like on how long my trip is going to be. But if I'm planning like an actual long trip, I like to go to places that have everything. First of all, obviously, nature for me will be like the top priority. But also I like places that have different culture. So like, you know, if I'm going, for example, to places I haven't traveled a lot in Europe, not because, I mean, I bet Europe has amazing nature, but I feel like
You're scared of
culture,
their accents, I guess.
Yes, I'm scared, and also, you know, I mean...
You've seen a few too many mustaches.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. Too many mustaches in my life and some armpits and...
It's definitely a good point. Like, if I'm looking for travel, I also... Here and there, it's nice to have a bit of like some underlying goals. Like the reason I went to Colombia, I wanted to practice my Spanish.
Yeah.
And thankfully they didn't speak English there, so I had to. And that's how it ended up.
Yeah, exactly. Always it's good to have underlying goals for your trip. Like for my last trip in Brazil, it was like, you know, feeling more loose about dancing and all that, which eventually I think I more or less accomplished that. Carnival was pretty intense. But let's say step one, you're planning, let's say assuming you've decided where you want to go. And what is the next step? Let's say, how much time do you think you should plan in advance? What would you do?
Well, I think you should definitely understand your situation. Like, if you only have a few weeks, okay, that's fine. Like, you know, you don't have to go for a few months, but you have to, okay, you have a few weeks. Now what's your budget? How much money are you actually willing to put through this? And it's better to kind of have like, not super generous, but not super, you know, stingy and tight either, because stuff always happens. You're always going to have to pay maybe a bit more than you thought sometimes.
Also, yeah, on the first trip, you'll probably spend more money than on other trips because you're not really as trained as a traveler to actually know when you're being scammed, know how to actually find the cheaper things. Your comfort zone is more narrow, so you're not as freely eating in the markets and things like this. So yeah, I think it's a good point to actually evaluate, you know, think about that you're going to spend more money than what you're actually going to plan.
Yeah, and also once you start traveling and you get a bit more experience, you understand a bit more how much money you're going to spend, and also better ways to save money. Like, you know, also stuff just happens out of nowhere. You get invited to people's houses and, you know, you just saved money on dinner because they all cooked for you, or you get hitchhiked somewhere. Okay, you don't have to take a bus. Like, stuff like that happens all the time where you can also save a lot of money. So
Yeah. Or you meet a girl and then you end up spending 3 times more than what you actually want to spend. But
I haven't had that happen yet. It's usually pretty
yeah,
cheap.
you're a
but
really good Jew. Really
very
good Jew.
But let's say after you have the budget down, you have how much time you want to spend in a place. From that point on, I mean, it's actually really easy. It's the hardest step, but it's also the easiest step.
Yeah.
And that's just you buy your plane ticket.
Yeah, number one priority, just buy your plane ticket, because once you have a plane ticket, shit gets real. I mean, until then it was like you talking about going to travel, but yeah, when you have a flight ticket, that's when shit gets real. Another thing that I like to do in a lot of aspects, not just about traveling, is tell people. Because then if you tell people, you're kind of like more committed.
Yeah, and don't just say, oh, it'd be nice to go there. Just be like,
I'm going. I'm planning to go.
Yeah.
And then once you have flight tickets, it will make everything much easier. I would usually, if it's a first trip, I don't know if you agree or not, but it's the first trip, I think maybe go with the more safer option. Either buy a flexible ticket because things might change. I'm not a big fan of going through agencies. I think eventually they just take a cut that you can actually do it on your own. But if you want to be more confident, more comfortable, and knowing that you have someone to talk to, you can go also through an agency, even though it will cost you more. If you feel confident and you feel like you can do it, I would recommend Skyscanner as one of the websites that you will usually find the best flights.
Or if you use Google Flights as well.
Google Flights, yeah.
Because then another thing you're able to do, which is pretty cool, like if you're kind of flexible about where you want to go, you don't put in the end destination, and you can put flexible dates, and then you can find either for like the next 6 months or a certain month that you're looking at, like all the cheapest places that you can fly to. And so you can kind of get an idea, like, okay, maybe this city is cheaper than this city.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. It's a bit of a visual. But
Yeah, I haven't tried it. Might be good. Might be cool. Yeah. So exactly, and then when you have a flight ticket, let's say I think one of the questions that you have to ask yourself is, what do you value more, time or money? Because obviously if you just, I don't know, in my case, when I travel first time after finishing the army and then university, I didn't have money. Yeah, believe it or not, there's a situation that even Jews don't have money.
very rare, but
Very rare, but it happens. So I knew that the time was more important, so that's when, we'll probably talk about it in other episodes, but there are a lot of ways to travel for like really cheap, and even traveling without spending money actually by volunteering, doing other stuff. We'll talk about it probably in other episodes. Mm-hmm. But I think that once you know if you value more time or money, that can also help you plan your trip a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, I mean, once you have your plane ticket, once you have everything else sorted out, you can have like an idea of where you're going, but I'm not a huge fan of day-to-day exact planning of exactly what you're doing. Like, unless you're going maybe for just a week or two, in which case you're able to plan out each and every day quite specifically. But if you're for more than a few weeks in that, I found it's never worth it, because you're always going to find a place where you might want to stay longer. And I think you said this to me actually on our trip, that you never regretted staying too long in a place, but you always regretted staying too short.
Yeah, exactly.
Too little time in a place that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, for sure. Because, yeah, no, for sure. That's the way it is. And yeah, also another unpopular opinion, I really believe, and I believe you will think the same, that a lot of times the touristy sites, or the sites that are very known, some of them are cool, some of them I found them overrated, but they're usually very popular because it's easy to get to. I think one of the mainly only exceptions will be Machu Picchu, but I have to tell you, I like the walk to Machu Picchu more than Machu Picchu itself. So a lot of time you don't know, you can find yourself in like this city in the middle of nowhere. I can tell you that I was exploring Patagonia for about, I don't know, like 3-4 months, and my favorite place was Parque de los Alerces, and next to Esquel, which is kind of off the beaten path, because it was just absolutely amazing, and people not a lot of people are going there because it's off the beaten path, but it was amazing. So you would never know which site you like more than the other until you're actually there. You can go to, I don't know, thinking about the site that is popular, but you can go to, let's say, Tayrona Park, and you can stay in Cabo, and you will be like, yeah, no, that's very basic, I didn't really enjoy that. And you could go to like a different resort, being with amazing people that are like good friends, like a small beach that no one knows about, and have an amazing time.
Yeah.
So exactly, give yourself the flexibility about, don't have a fixed plan. Maybe choose few places that you really want to visit, in my trip it was, let's say, Bariloche. In my first trip it was Bariloche, Iguazu Falls, Rio de Janeiro, Salar de Uyuni, and Machu Picchu. And then plan it along the way that you will have the time to see other things.
Yeah. And also once you're in the place, you can ask locals, what would you actually recommend? What's kind of just bullshit touristy stuff? And asking other travelers as well. Like, and I don't know, sometimes they have plans you haven't thought about and you just join them and it ends up being pretty fucking awesome. So
yeah, exactly. Like how many times you just, let's say in Colombia, four
times.
4 times. Well, you can find yourself, exactly. Also, it's a good point because if you come open-minded to new experiences, if you don't have a fixed itinerary, you're more open to meet people, you have more flexibility with your timing.
And that's another great traveler skill which you end up developing. But the best travelers, doesn't matter what happens, you adapt, you go with it.
Yeah.
Because if you find yourself too rigid to plans, you'll always be disappointed because plans will never work out exactly like how you want.
Exactly. We were traveling in Colombia during COVID, and you won't believe the amount of changes, curfews, crazy stuff that was going on, protests. And yes, and then you just learn to say, okay, it is what it is, and it's fine. It's all an experience by the end of the day.
Yeah. As long as you, like we said before, as long as you don't end up playing table tennis in a dark alley, your trip will be fine.
Yeah, and also that you might find out that you like some new stuff, new experiences. It will change your life for sure, but
yeah.